various learning experiences, breaking down barriers that may limit student access to these learning experiences, aligning policies, practices, and beliefs of a shared vision, and being an advocate for each student who walks through our doors. Part of our training in Anaheim focused on Avid's proven learning support structure called WICR. So I'm going to hand this out to y'all. Thank you, Ms. Davis. Appreciate that. So this is the WICR 1 page, is what we are being handed. It is a quick reference guide to the ideas of WICR. So WICR, W, stands for writing, I, inquiry, C, collaboration, O, organization, and R, reading. Here is the page that you have, and you can keep it. It is yours to use and peruse as you like. You can see that it is broken down into 3 distinct rows, identifying the definition, what a student does within each of those elements, and then how Avid supports the learning experiences when WICR is implemented fully across the school sites. So as a team, we determined that the best entry points for our students to this learning structure would be writing, collaboration, and organization. So at this time, the team would like to show you, literally show you, all of how they have begun to weave these elements into their classroom instruction. So I believe the ladies would like you to go on a little field trip.
Do you have walking permissions with? They're not
All righty then.
Excellent, please join my team. Thank you.
What do we do with it?
There's going to be no expectation during the walk, so we're going to be going on a little field trip. So we'll be back 5 minutes.
And this is helpful too. This is cool. Okay. Thank you all. Appreciate it. That was wonderful.
We are back from the field trip at 6:07 p.m.
We have everybody. Okay. We're going to move on to the housekeeping items. Agenda. I believe everything is good there. And now we're going to move on to the minutes. Did everyone have a chance to look over those? Okay. To approve.
I'll second.
Okay. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay. Thank you. The next item is payroll and bills.
Yes, so the reports that I sent you have quite a few details.
Yeah.
Including payroll and all bills and encumbrances, and open purchase orders and that sort of thing. And I'm happy to stand for questions. I do say that
I believe we all.
there were 3 notes I said to the financials. One is that we're not doing bars yet. You're still entering contracts and supplemental contracts. And so I didn't feel like we had to move money out of Fed programs in July because they said we couldn't spend it. And we're moving that back. So I'm not ready to submit any bars for moving things around. So yes, I know that there's some negative line items.
Just a minute, Aubrey.
Just want to comment, if you're online with us, would you please make sure you're muted unless you have a question? Thank you.
And there was one purchase order that was improperly coded to Fund 31200. So the whole fund looks like it was in the negative in July. However, it's already been moved, but it happened in August. When I saw it, it's been moved to 317, which is SB9. It was plumbing repair.
I saw that.
So that's been moved and cleaned up. And then activity accounts are still going to require some work. When I pulled activity reports from last fiscal year end June 30th, what the balances showed are not what the sponsors agree. I've had several say, no, this doesn't look right, which they didn't. I'm going to say K-12 was not keeping everything completely separate from the roll-up account, which is $23,000. That is the main account that we have to report to PED. at Corona, we have separate funds assigned under that nobody looks at. PED never looks at those. They only want to see the totals. And so we have some discrepancies that I need to go back multiple years to look at all the revenues, all the expenditures to get true balances for each of those activity funds, which there's quite a few. So I'm hoping, my goal is to have those by Monday of next week, but it is going to take a little bit of time. Okay. And then I wanted to ask, on the graphs, if there was something I tried to simplify how they had been presented in the past, and they kind of were small. Is there something else you'd like to see? Did you like seeing it as a budget, year-to-date expenditures? Okay.
Yeah. Yes, I like the totals.
Okay.
And then there are those that like details, that's fine. But I like to look at the grand total and looking at it in graph form, just, snapshot and kind of get a visual of what's going on. So no, that works for me.
Okay.
I do have some questions on 31,100 building purchase for 235,000.
That was your.
That's the house.
That's the house.
Yeah.
That's what I thought. Okay, I want to make sure.
Yes.
And then was the 29,000 in the SB9 local was 29,256. Was that part of it too?
SB9 local 31701.
Yes.
That's the one you're.
Yes.
At the water line project.
Probably is.
It's probably the water line project under the
Okay,
gym.
yeah,
If it's under SB9, that is the.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Of the water.
all right.
Yes.
And then wind, we have 620,000 encumbered. And year to date is 12.5. Current is 12.5. Is that some of our, I know some of it's construction.
Yeah.
It is.
Services.
So one of the things that I looked at that construction one, I think it's like 447,000.
Yeah, 447, yes.
I believe
Yeah.
I'm gonna be able to release that. I think that's that carryover PO
Yeah.
that you had told me, they abandoned the work. It was a security project.
Yeah, it's Apex PO
Yes. Okay.
that did it, but
So
it might have been a duplicate PO issued by CES and us. So we're waiting for CES to give us the clearance because the project's not completely closed out yet, but hopefully by the end of next week, when CAMNet comes in with the rest of the sensors, that project can be completely closed out, which we have a separate PO for CAMNet already for the $3,000 worth of work on the door sensors and hardware to make sure they work. That's existing. So once that is completely done and Verkada gives us the clearance, we can close out more than likely that duplicate PO that was there because I believe it was issued through CEF
It was a
and
carry-
local.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
No,
it was a carry forward.
Yes.
what about, the payroll? The
So
job
under-
class is 1211.
I'm sorry, which one?
Job class is 1211. Who is that? For 118,367 is the encumbrance. Or the budget, sorry.
What?
Oh, you know,
That's Amanda.
budget there. That's
Yeah,
Amanda.
that's Amanda's.
Budget was done, for 2 positions placed here. And one was the director of curriculum and the other was the business manager because that's
Right.
where, K-12 had been paid out of in the
Okay.
past.
All right. What is,
Get a paycheck, so thank you.
126107? What is that? It says REC district fiscal agent.
That was the Ed Fellows
Oh,
program.
that's it.
That was the reimbursement.
All right. So then what's 24189?
That is
Not
out
a
of,
4, but what is it?
it is, kind of health and wellness of students,
Okay,
$10,000.
yeah,
And we had a $9,000 carryover.
no worries. And in 21,100, which is food service, why is there not any encumbrance at all?
That was a question I actually had that I needed to sit down and talk to Curtis about, and food services. So that is the universal free. That is a
Right.
separate funding stream from the state. And I just think it didn't get utilized last year.
Yeah.
And so we will be looking at making those.
Because what I'm afraid of, when I saw that free lunch thing, I thought if we don't use it, they're gonna take it, they're gonna claw it back. So I think we need to use it. I agree. What's that? Sorry.
Just kidding.
Okay. Help for me.
And Barb, to fill you in a little bit on that, K-12 didn't utilize that fund when we would tell them to code it.
Yeah.
It just never was used by them.
So we'll get it spent though this year.
They will have a carryover? Or will they give us,
Yes.
Yeah, they will.
Yes, no, it's in, yes, no, it's already part.
that's already part of it?
Yeah.
Right, oh, okay, you've already budgeted, okay.
What they-
I was gonna say, we need to get that too.
Yes, it will be everywhere.
Okay, that was all my questions, guys.
I have two.
Yes.
So I'm just trying to understand how, I really like this summary, by the way. I really like this. Okay, so on the top line there, where you have the budget for almost 3.3 billion. And then you have the year to date of the 225,000.
Expenses for operational.
Right, and so then when you look at the year to date percentage of
So I did that of the total expenses. I didn't, and I just added a line right before.
okay,
I was gonna do another line that says percent of total to budget, because I did it
Yeah.
for the total expenditures. When I did this.
okay. That's, I was trying to understand how that was working.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yep, but I will add that column because I think that would be helpful.
And you've worked on you explained to me the
Yes, I
Outstanding deal.
Somebody, are you talking about?
yeah, the bank
yeah,
statement.
that was my next question.
Yes.
So with the bank statement, there's a couple of things I needed you guys to be aware of. We didn't balance for the primary reason, and you can see when you look at I did a kind of a summary of what happened. We were off $41,506.02. But when you look at the bank statement, which should be at the very back, and I highlighted the items that they're sitting, well, the deposits for Torrance County, we have not been able to get the documentation from Torrance County to book those deposits. I'm gonna go ahead and we're gonna just go ahead and do it, but usually there's a fee that we have to charge, that they charge us.
Yeah.
And I wanted to be able to split it out properly, but we have not been successful. Curtis has reached out to them. Hannah's reached out to them. She's called them. So we don't know where they're sending the report to. But the other two items are in fiscal year 24-25. They were vouchered in fiscal year 24-25, but they're not they're payroll liabilities. So they're not just sliding right over. There's a process. And because my NIMSIA bill didn't balance, I didn't feel comfortable just moving everything until I can balance. I'm not done with year end is basically what I'm saying. So we have the NIMSIA bill that we had to pay, and we had our taxation and revenue, where if you look in the system, they booked them and they vouchered them, but they didn't pay them. I ended up having to pay them, but I have not rolled them forward, and I have not rolled forward fund balances because I'm not convinced we're cleaning yet on fiscal year 25. I'm still working through all that, and our board meetings unfortunately just come so quick in the new month which is great, but I just have not had the time with setting up the new fiscal year, getting payroll run, and no one has missed a check, right? Everybody's been paid, and trying to make sure that the day-to-day operations, I just have not finished closing year end.
You know who you might check with is your budget analyst, because they get some stuff from the counties.
Oh,
Check
you
with
know
your
what?
budget analyst.
For Lincoln County.
Yeah, Lincoln and Sakura have been pretty good.
Yeah, no.
For some reason Torrance has not been doing it, and we did get them for one.
They get information too, because they're the ones that tell us what our, yeah, just ask your budget analyst to help you with it. Might have more
So the
success.
differences, I guess is what I'm saying, is I know exactly where it's at once I can get the 2 years cleaned up.
So,
For the end.
and that's great. That, at the end of the day, that's really what matters. But in this 41,000, is that in these amounts you have over here to the left, are those cumulative for the last few years? Or are those recent out of balance?
These are recent, these
Okay.
are payroll liabilities from
Okay.
June. I do want to point out though, I know we've had this conversation briefly about, if you look on page, there's other outstanding distributions on, it's around to, right, around page 5. So it's probably on the back side where it starts. But it says page 1, and it's right before the bank statement. So it's outstanding other disbursements, sorry. There are direct vouchers that are still outstanding in the fiscal year 2024. Why? I can't tell you. I think the one that is May 1st for 33,000 is probably a NIMSIA payment, because that's about how much NIMSIA is, between 33 and 40,000. I'm thinking that's NIMSIA, a payroll. I don't know. I did call Tyler Technologies to help us figure out how to clear these, and the person that I spoke with on Friday was not able to help me, so she elevated it. It's Wednesday. If I will call them again tomorrow and see if I can get some guidance, because her thought was that they didn't roll some liabilities forward, but they went ahead and they paid them in the new year and didn't clear them in vote, and they've just been hanging there. So we have to do the correct entries to get them out of there, but until they investigate the actual entries.
So these are like AP. Is that what this?
They're actually payroll liabilities. And when I say payroll liabilities, I'm talking about NIMSIA, your health insurance. I'm talking about your workers' comp, federal taxes that we have to pay. All of those are done through what's called a direct voucher process in the accounting system. And really, they should clear within about 45 days total, because you pay them and you check it off. But for some reason, these are still hanging, and I don't know. I don't have an answer still as to why.
Okay.
But we're working to clear them out.
So there was that issue.
Because it's a double entry accounting.
Yes,
system,
that's
so
right.
you have-
You're right.
Yeah.
So there's still,
That's why I thought it was right.
yeah,
So we had those errors at the end of, and then what, they fixed them, but I wonder.
I don't think they did. Now that I think about it, I don't think they did.
No, they didn't.
Because once you cut the check, it should credit cash and debit the liability. The liability goes away. So I don't think there's a step that got lost in there.
Well, I did get the quarterlies done though, the 6/30 quarterlies. I did those for the public ed. It's cash balanced, everything balanced according to their reports. So I feel, I think we're on the right track. There's just a lot of entries I think we're gonna have to do to clean some of these things up.
And I was telling Vicki, we may have to wait for the auditor.
Yeah,
And I wasn't comfortable rolling the funds forward. You can roll them more than any time, but I felt like we needed to clean them up as best as we could before, because otherwise I have to reverse them and then do it again. So I would rather we close out the Y25 completely and feel confident, and then roll. And then if the auditors tell us we need to do some other entries, we will.
Well, it sounds like you have a good handle, so thank you.
Yeah.
It's been a lot.
Okay, we
To
appreciate
wrap my head
it.
around.
We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Any other questions on payroll and bills? I need a motion to approve.
I so move.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Okay, next item on the agenda are the bars.
And like I said, we were not having it this time.
Okay. Thank you. Next is the principal's report.
So, we had open house on July 30th, which we had a really great turnout for that. I was really surprised at the amount of people that showed up. But it was great. I mean, you know, a lot of the wind farm, our new kids, they came in, checked out our school. Everybody got to go visit with the teachers. You know, the teachers worked diligently to have their classrooms ready, set up to make the kids feel comfortable, prepared. Um, the parents came with a lot of questions within their individual classrooms, and I think that was extremely beneficial for building those relationships. You know, it kind of started early on for our newer people. The first week of school, our teachers worked together as groups. Since there were, you know, teachers and students out for Fair Week, they worked together and had students do a lot of activities. They went over norms, routines, procedures, group activities, and they started on some beginning of year diagnostic testing. The kids really enjoyed being in groups together. Like the high school was in the boardroom quite a bit of the time. You know, they introduced the Avid books and binder. They went over the handbook extensively every class period, went over a section of the handbook and they got to go over those.
Don't forget when it's a minute.
Oh,
Minute to win,
the minute to
whatever
win.
was saying.
Yeah.
Everybody's yelling in the hallway.
Yeah.
That competition was pretty cool watching the kids get at it.
Yes. They were very active. They really liked the mind games that the teachers had planned for them. They were very engaged in all of their activities. For dual credit, we do have 100% participation for grades 10, 11, and 12.
Excellent.
Half of them are CTE, half of them are going the associates route. Just keep in mind with our juniors, you know, getting an associates within 2 years could be a struggle for them. They might not quite reach that associate since it takes 3 years to get that. But we do have all their paperwork back and plan on submitting all of that tomorrow.
I don't know how you guys presented that, but however you did, it was good because Courtney was engaged. And she wanted to have an in-depth conversation with me on, and so, yeah, so however you guys did that, it was successful. Yeah. So just positive feedback. Thank you. So good job.
And we do have new staff members, so we did get our elementary special ed position filled with Miss Lorraine Spencer. And she comes to us from Taos. She also has a lot of dyslexia training and other methodology trainings that she would like to. She's very excited to be able to give some PD to our teachers if they're willing and able to do that. We have Miss Michaela Eldridge, who is PE and history. Our teachers and our students are absolutely loving getting to have physical education every day. Like, I think it's changed the elementary, the students, I think it's changed them a lot to have that structured PE time.
I bet Michaela did a great job.
Yeah, she loves it. She's, yeah. I went and subbed in there when she was gone at Fair.
Yeah.
Not for me. Well, there just wasn't a lot of fairness. I was like, well, sorry, it's tech. I can't help you. And then we also have Miss Becky Pounds for math, CTE, and AVID. And then Miss Bianca.
Quinones?
Quinones, thank you. And she is our educational assistant. She is helping out with K1. And she, her and Miss Zamora have clicked really well. You know, they already, yes,
Yeah.
they already have a system down. The kids go here, they go there, like.
Excellent.
She's been a great addition to our team.
That's a way for her to make.
So what's our numbers?
Using her banker.
Yeah, exactly.
Anna,
Still the bank.
what were our numbers as of yesterday or Monday? Because I'm not sure we ran them yesterday.
89. I read them this morning.
What is it?
89. So we had, sorry, I missed that one. Elementary, we have 47 students. High school, we have 42. And that's with 2 that came and enrolled yesterday. So they're still trickling in. And then 17 of those currently have IEPs, 10 in the elementary and 7 in the high school.
Excellent. Thank you.
Thanks. Any questions for Miranda? Have we turned any kids away?
No.
Oh, our pre-K is maxed out at 8.
Okay, so I was just.
3-year-olds.
Yeah, 3-year-olds, exactly, but I'm turning,
Okay.
yeah, okay, sorry. Okay, curious.
All right, well, thank
I
you,
didn't
ma'am.
think we had, but, all right,
Excellent, good job.
good job.
And director's report.
So I'll start with the fair report. Holding true to Corona tradition, every one of our kids made the sale, which is phenomenal and amazing. We had the champion Duroc with Brentley's first year, she did champion Duroc, and I think a second place Hamp, and Aubrey had some, I don't know, seconds, thirds, fourths, somewhere in there. And in the sheep and goat barn, we all sat kind of right there, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth. Couple that didn't place as well, but and then we had the reserve champion steer. We had a couple showmans. Grady Gutierrez will win showmanship in every animal that he shows.
Got a very good fair.
Yeah, yeah.
Sad day on Saturday.
Yes, yeah. And he had the grand steer. They are under our umbrella, so they're part of us. And then Courtney got showmanship, I believe, in the steer barn, and there wasn't a junior showman though in cattle, right?
No, I don't believe so.
Yeah, just senior and novice,
And
and so we
novice,
had both of those. Skeet was junior showmanship in goats. Cooper was junior showmanship in sheep. And so they held their own at the fair, and all the animals sold phenomenally. It was a record. Yeah, it was a fantastic sale. So it was great. And they all came back to school a little tired. In fact, at one point, Tripp's head was this far from his keyboard in English. So Roxy told him he needed to get more sleep. But they're all back in, and we're now all back on campus. So that's a good thing. You've got the Avid presentation, and my plan this moving forward is to be in Casey's room on Mondays from 1:45 to 2:45. That's my open period throughout the day, and to meet with Casey on Mondays and Kathy on Tuesdays and Amy on Wednesdays, and then we meet as a collective on Thursdays. That way we're kind of staying on top of the shifts into project-based learning in the Avid space, because I'm learning Avid, right along with them. So that's the plan there. With some of the scheduling, juniors and seniors, where they got the presentation was I have them first hour for an intervention online period. Almost every one of our classes has a spot where they're getting intervention or online time to work on those classes. And we went over, Eastern has done a phenomenal job creating those pathways and lining them up, whether they start them freshman year, sophomore year, junior year, senior year. They were shocked to realize they could earn their CNA license in 5 classes. And they had no clue that they could be a CNA after 5 classes. And then, so we talked about that and how they could get that and work their way through college and use that if they wanted to pursue nursing. If they wanted, a lot of them, it was really funny to watch their brains. There's a wildland fire one, and they were like, hey, if I get my CNA, that puts me ahead in wildland fire, and then I can be the medic that's on the fire. Like they were rolling with it. It was great. And it gave me goosebumps whenever I asked all 12 or 10, 11, and 12th grade who was wanting to take dual credit, and they all raised their hand. And so it gave me goosebumps and chills to know that they're that passionate and excited about it too, moving forward. And so I think we have a couple outstanding applications that we'll gather tomorrow morning, and then we'll send them all off and they'll be enrolled. With bringing on our sped teacher in the elementary, she's trained in the Scottish Rite Take Flight dyslexia training, which is an entire comprehensive program. And so I know a lot of our teachers wanted to do the Orton Gillingham training, but we felt like having a comprehensive program was more beneficial than sending, and the asynchronous is hard with Orton if you can't be there in person or you can't have an in-person trainer. And that was Amy's number one feedback. She said, if we can't get somebody in person, like, it's going to be really tough. And so we kind of felt like this was going to be our role in getting a comprehensive program and getting the teachers trained in that comprehensive program versus just the methodology. And they've all been trained in letters, which is pretty similar to Orton. So we felt like they had the good basis. This would just take it to the next step.
Don't forget our expo staff is required to have it done this year too.
Yeah, so, state statute in June, and it just went into effect July 1. We will start training all of our ELA up here that it starts with sixth grade, next year, seventh and eighth, and it moves on through. Luckily, that's only 2 people really for us. But we'll get them trained this year and
All the high school staff will have to have it in the next 3-4 years.
yeah, so.
And
we'll
our-
get everybody trained in that stuff.
Are all those teachers that they were reluctant and they wanted to go the other
Other way,
route?
yeah.
Are they all good now?
No, I don't know that they are, but I think there's a
They'll get there.
disconnect and I'm trying to figure out how to communicate this better. Orton Gillingham is just a methodology. It's not a program. And I think they still are stuck thinking it's a program for the students. And so I'm having Lorraine kind of help me present that it's the methodology of teaching versus like a comprehensive.
At some point, could you do that?
Yeah, and we're working on that. I thought we had it because I had her kind of explain when she came and toured the building. A lot of those teachers were here. And I thought we had it. And then when I came back from fair, that's not.
It's
what
not
it
what it
was.
was.
And so then I was like, okay, I got to regroup. I'm sorry. Let me try to present this another way. And I will apologize. I have not relayed that to this building. So any that thought they were going to get trained in this building, that's totally on me. And I will take that fault or whatever for not communicating that well over here to these staff members. But we just felt like a comprehensive program was going to be way more beneficial for our students than just training teachers in a methodology of phonics.
And once they understand that,
Yeah, will be helpful. I think so.
I
Yes.
believe the other
You
part
can
is
always go back and revisit that methodology if you
Right.
want to.
Yes,
There's nothing that
yes,
says.
and take it off the table. We thought the
This
whole
will be
program
better.
might be better. And in the meantime, until we were able to get Lorraine situated and brought on, we started with U-Fly.
Right.
Which Rita was very familiar with and kind of got them
Okay.
rolling in
Yeah.
U-Fly. And so we have programs rolling with the dyslexia. It's just a miscommunication on my part. And then, so just trying to provide those training opportunities and letting teachers know, like, what do you want to be trained in? Like, communicate that with us. Tell us where you want training. That's my next steps in trying to make sure we
Okay.
provided that.
And 2 things on reading the report, we've got to give Sydney Moreau from ENMU Ruidoso and her a lot of credit, because when we've given the presentation that here's the pathways, they presented it as, this is your time to fail before you get to college. This is try it now. Have that expectation. It says, we'll work with you, and Sydney's trying to work out a schedule to be up here or help to advise. But also our CEN partners with Kelly Springfield, they're working on bringing career counselors in that are general college people or career people to assist. So there's going to be a lot of support for those kids. So if they're struggling, they need to get to either Randa, Amanda, or I, and we can do some study groups or do some support groups to help those kids with that. That was the most impressive thing at Roscoe, when you saw those dual enrollment kids working in their high school together on those classes, and a lot of collaborations going on with that. So I think that was a key part, because Sydney kind of said, this is your time to try it free.
Right.
If you're struggling, get with us, because they're going to treat our kids like they're on campus with the counseling services at the ENMU Ruidoso.
Right.
They can do a virtual counseling session, or they can do an in-person counseling session if they want to go to campus. And the other thing about the associate degree too is, if our students are able to enroll and want to go on campus and have that experience, I know Hadley did that this summer to get ready for college. You can now do it earlier with them.
Right.
If you're willing to go down and go into an in-person class down there, they're willing to support you just like you're a regular college student, but they will still communicate with the high schools of what their dual enrollment struggles are if they're having it. And that's why we're so impressed in ENMU Ruidoso, because they've had Sydney there now. This is her 3rd year. The consistencies there with Clovis. We've had 4 different dual enrollment contacts in almost 2 years I've been here. So there's no consistency of what the message is. And I think the other part on the dyslexia piece is that everybody needs to understand that methodology is still part of that entire program. That is a science of reading project that was taught in letters. That is a strict part of that. And I think maybe that connection to the overall program with the methodology, I think once that gets put in place, I think all those fears will be put aside, and you'll see a more consistent approach across the district. Instead of having Orton Gillingham on 3rd grade, and then what do we piece in if those kids are struggling?
Okay. Any question?
I do have a question just to help me. So in your new position that you have now, can you generally explain to us what, like, I know you're a principal, or your superintendent, what is your position? Like, what are the big lifts or the generalities of what you do now?
So as director of curriculum, if there's training or questions on the curriculum itself, that is my job to find that for the teachers.
So it's kind of like a counselor, if you will.
Ish,
For
yeah,
teachers.
yeah, for teachers and for students. Yeah.
It's also.
Okay, okay.
But it's without, if I wanted the counselor title, I would have to go back to school for a counseling degree.
I see.
So this is allowing me to do a lot of that without
Okay,
that degree per se, if that makes any sense.
okay. So,
I mean, I'm not doing the like psychological counseling. We still have somebody else that comes in. and does
Right.
that, But it's
Okay.
the career counseling,
The-
curriculum counseling.
Gotcha.
Like what is.
Getting them ready for,
Yeah.
making sure they're moving through like they're supposed to, and then getting them ready for next steps.
Yes.
Whether it's the elementary into the high school to college, or whatever next steps are. Gotcha. Okay, thank you. Any other questions? Okay, thank you, ladies. Public comment. Hannah? Does anyone online have anything that they want to share? Okay, I'm gonna assume silence is no. Okay, now we're gonna move on to action items. Okay, the first one here, this is a remote presentation. It's a consideration of an approval of a resolution proposing the general obligation bond ballot question and capital improvements tax ballot question, and other matters relating thereto.
Okay, we have Brad Hanks from Stiefel and Heather Boone from Cutting McCarthy, the attorneys that helped develop the bond. So Brad, do you want to go first? And then Heather, you can go through the process we're approving tonight?
Yeah, happy to. We can go that route. Good evening, members of the board, Superintendent Brad Angst with Stiefel Public Finance. We serve as y'all's financial advisor, bond advisor. My colleague Nick Kane sends his regards. We were double booked this evening, and but I'm happy to be here with y'all. So in front of you, you have two items. You have the 2 mil, which is your SB9 levy. That's the capital improvement maintenance levy. We're asking you to consider sending it out to your voters for renewal so that you can continue to keep that maintenance revenue coming in over the next 6 years. So that is the first item. Another one within that is the GO bond, general obligation bond ballot question. And tonight we're simply asking you to consider sending it to the voters. This is a $3.5 million GO bond question. The impact from this would maintain your mill levy the same as it's going to be this year. So just above 7 mills. And that would continue for the next 4 years, and then it would start to decline. The timing of this is important. You have an opportunity here to work with PSFA and the PSCOC to get quite a bit of state matching funds. Your schools have been ranked into the top 100, which provides an opportunity to get potentially a replacement school or a combination school with a lot of state matching. And the rules are if you're above the current metric of 7 mills, which you are going to just exceed this year, and you're at near bonding capacity, if you do your local contribution, which would be this 3.5 mils that they would provide for the difference in the cost of a school. So you all have about 65,000 square feet is what the PSFA is estimated for a combination school at about $700 a square foot, which is the average cost per square foot, believe it or not, across the state. It totals nearly $50 million project. So for about $3.5 million of local dollars, y'all can potentially get a $50 million replacement school. You're set up. Yes, ma'am.
I have a question. So you keep saying 3.5, but on the text here, if I'm looking at this right and understanding you, it shows 2.5.
Forgive me. Yes, ma'am. 2.5. I got
Okay.
that
Okay.
stuck in my head. That's what I have in my
Okay.
materials
You're
as well.
okay.
Apologies.
Yeah, no, you're fine. I just wanted to make sure this was correct.
That is correct. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Okay.
So even kind of bigger return on your investment there with a $2.5 million local contribution can potentially get up to about a $50 million school. So this resolution tonight, and I'll let Ms. Boone talk about the process and what it does, but it's simply you all approve it going in front of voters so that they can make that decision if they want to proceed or not. So I'll pause there and hand it to Ms. Boone, and then we'd be happy to answer any questions y'all might have.
Thank you, Mr. Angst, and thank you, the board and superintendent. I appreciate the opportunity to come and present. Uh, we have before you the resolution for the November 4th, 2025 regular local election. Uh, the process at this point is that the board, should you approve the resolution to seek putting the two questions on the ballot tonight, they must be submitted to each of your county clerks within 70 days before the election. So by August 26th, these need to be filed with each of the clerks of the counties, so Lincoln, Socorro, and Torrance. And you'll see the resolution authorizes these two ballot questions to be submitted to your voters, the district voters. And the first one, like Mr. Ink said, is a $2.5 million general obligation bond. And you'll see the purposes that are included there. And we try to make these as inclusive as possible, so as broad as possible, so that we can use it for whatever purposes the district needs once they are voted in, hopefully by the voters. The second is going to be that 2 mil SB9, which has a very long list of items that it can be used for. And pretty straightforward resolution, but I'm happy to answer any questions you have.
On this shorter one for the general obligation school bond, this is probably cookie cutter language. This is, I guess, a question for you all based on your expertise. Do you think that the mill language should be included so voters know the impacts, or do you think the way it's written will answer questions that voters normally have?
So in terms of the ballot language, we take that from the New Mexico statutes.
Okay.
So that's why you have these specific categories, and what the SB9 is a lot longer, but it matches the statutory language.
To follow up on that, typically the way this will be presented, and we'd recommend several town hall type meetings, making sure you properly discuss these items, what the impact is to the taxes, if, what it looks like in the repayment period, but really trying to be as transparent as possible with your voters and giving folks every opportunity to understand why you're putting this in front of them, what it means for their future tax bills, but also what it means for, the community and the ability, to renew and update your facilities. It's kind of a rare time and the ability for you all to be able to do this. You were ranked 89. It actually dropped to 92 with the final values from PSFA. And only the top 100, get these opportunities. We had another district that recently just updated some fire alarm systems. It actually kicked them out of the top 100 from in the 80s to about 113. So you're kind of at that sweet spot right now. If the board does decide to move with this election tonight, to send it to the voters, we'd recommend that you follow up with the PSFA pretty quickly and get an application into them. There's an application period that's open right now through September 1st. And so while you're ranked high, and then they'll go through their application process, and the award of those applications actually happens mid-November, which would be just after your GO bond election. So they'd know, if voters supported you all going this route, and then just a week or a couple weeks after that, you'd know if you had that support from PSFA as well.
And once you do the application, you're locked. You can't be moved off of that top 100 list.
That is correct. It's a little bit more than just submitting an application to when you lock that in. But yes, ma'am, if you start that process, there's a point. They're not going to do recalculate until next summer, I believe, is when they do it. So you do have some time while you're still top 100.
What caused us to move from the 80s down to 92?
Other districts that got downgraded.
Like he was talking
Yeah,
about.
like what happened, you had ones that would go one way, and then you would have districts that would go ahead of us that do that. And then, Brad, did PSFA go to rolling applications and you go present in front of PSCOC on building projects?
They did that for the last year or two. That trial period has ended. We've been encouraging them and suggesting that they go back to that and renew that process. But this year, no, sir. There's a couple of application windows. It's not rolling.
And this new bond, the general obligation bond, that will not raise property taxes for our community?
That is correct, sir. I do want to be clear about your 2024 bond, though, and how that's shaping up. So when y'all sold your 2024 bond, the way we structured it was so that the mill levy would come up above 7. So you went halfway last year, and this year it goes to we're calculating 7.2. So it's going from 5.9 to 7.2 this year. So 1.3 increase for the 24 bond. However, what I'm telling you is it won't go above the 7.2 in the future. So it would hold steady. It would not be any additional increase. That 7 mil levy mark is what you need to be in the running and be considered by PSFA. So if you sent this to the voters and they said no, next year your mill levy is going to drop. So it's just above this 7 for right now, and you can hold it steady. It would not need any increase.
Plus, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think if we keep our 7 mils or higher than 7 mils, our wind income increases as well.
On the,
On the property taxes,
yeah, I'd have to look into that. The windmills do pay significant portion of that debt service levy of the revenue. But as far as the flow and if they have some payment in lieu of taxes or some other abatements set up with the county, I'd have to look into that to verify.
I'm almost positive that's what Jeremy told us.
Yeah.
And Anita Taylor when they set it up, and I think that's the thing that Jeremy sent us. It's been a while.
The amortization, the way that
Yeah.
that works.
And the other thing is,
But it would change if we get above the 7, it increases.
and the other thing, Barb,
Oh,
they
based
look
on
at
your
the additional business properties they're adding on this. That goes on the roll, it rolls on every 6 months when they do the reassessment. So we should be pretty good beneficially from the wind side of this with the additional properties and getting above 7.
That makes sense. Payment in lieu of taxes.
Yeah.
If it goes up, then yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
That helps us.
Okay, so what's the pleasure of the board on these items? Do you all have more questions? Do we need more discussion? Okay. So does the board want to approve the resolutions this evening for these folks to move forward and getting this ready to go on the ballot?
I so move.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank
Heather,
you.
Brad.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
You're
And,
very
and
welcome.
two quick reminders. One is that the resolution does need to get filed. I know we don't have a lot of time left, but in the 3 counties, and it's due no later than August 26th, or it will not appear on the ballot.
Right.
And then the second reminder is, as
Heather.
Brad said,
I've got it
Perfect.
here. We're gonna take care of it. Get it ready.
great. Great. And then the other one is just remember when you are discussing the ballot questions that you can ask voters to vote, but you cannot ask voters to vote in favor or against the ballot measures. So just a quick reminder. Thank you very much.
We can only
Yeah,
share
good.
information. Okay,
Good point.
Right.
Yeah,
Thank you.
good point. Thanks for bringing that up,
Yeah.
Ms. Boone. Yeah, now that you voted and approved it, you have
So
to
is
just
that-
keep it to the factual information.
Is that just the board or is that it's
Also,
everything in there? Okay,
yeah.
okay.
Anything from the district.
What
Yeah.
you do at family reunions is up to you guys. That's all I'm
And we're happy to review any materials you put together.
Say that again.
Private donors, a
Yeah.
private organization that wanted to support getting that out.
Oh, I see.
District.
Yeah.
I see. Anyone that is employed or a representation of, gotcha. Okay, perfect. All right. Thank you all. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks. Good night.
Good night. Okay. All right. Thank you all. Next item is the approval of the contract for the auditing services for the next audit. And Curtis was sharing that we only got one proposal. Every time
One
before.
fully executed proposal. We had some that said we're going to submit and then chose last minute to submit that they weren't going to submit. So Rice was the one that came through. Vic and I both have experience working with them and they were the ones that came through with the complete list and they did it based on the cost per hour with a max of 25,000 for all 3. So it's at a daily or hourly rate that they are charging inside of that for all the audits that we will do. I'm not sure we will qualify for the federal audit because I'm not sure we're over that threshold. So we should be okay with those and then the billing would come through, but that is the auditor that submitted the only complete comprehensive proposal.
And we've worked with her a lot in the past.
Yeah. She's very good.
I've worked with her very good in the past. It's funny because Vicky had her at the REC and then we had her at Silver, or we flipped. We had them first, and then Stone McGee and Bryce flipped between us. So we're familiar. They're very thorough, very active. So I'm asking a request for that. And then I have to report to the auditor's office tomorrow. Then I can notify them that they've been approved by the auditor's office. Proceed.
I so move.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank you all. Okay, next item. Discussion on possible board action on nomination and approval of 2 board members to serve on the finance committee. Vicky, you're on.
So, law requires that the school boards have a finance committee and an audit committee, and that you have 2 members serve on those. They're 2 different purposes. The finance committee can make a decision. Generally, they meet quarterly when districts are on quarterly reporting to the public education department, which Corona is. That means you're in good standing, basically, if you report quarterly. Sometimes they meet monthly. It's really at the will of the committee. But the idea is to dig more deeper into, like, did we have POs when can we look at the vouchers for that check? And can we see, did POs get in place before that? Did we follow procurement? They tend to do more random checks of things, of testing internal controls, and then asking deeper questions before the board meeting, so that if there are questions about the financials, we can kind of go through those in more in depth. So, when we think about quarterly, July 1st to June 30th is this first quarter of this new fiscal year. So we would meet sometime in October, probably around the second, third week. We just decide, and we would review the quarterlies for the first quarter. And then the board member, one of the board members usually then reports at the next school board meeting, just a quick summary of what was discussed, if there were any findings that were found, things that they're working on, just a kind of a big broad overview. So that's the process, is that you meet the month after the quarter ends and then report to the board at the next board meeting on any findings or information, not necessarily findings like audits, just I'm thinking in terms of just like information related to it. And then the audit committee really exists only during the audit time. There's an entry meeting, there's some check-in meetings, and then the closing meeting.
And so are you, to make sure I understand, it's just one committee, finance / audit, or you're wanting them 2
It's
with,
2 separate.
and you're wanting, for segregation purposes, then you're wanting
Different people or
different
the
people
same?
on, oh,
It
okay.
doesn't matter. It really
Okay.
doesn't matter. It doesn't specify, it just says no more than 2, so you don't have.
Right, okay. Okay, do you guys have any questions before we open the floor?
Finance does require, they both require 2. I shouldn't say it more than 2. They do require.
At
2,
least
but,
2.
I mean,
Okay.
at least 2 audit.
And if not more, I mean, if you want it, right?
Then we'd have to go through open
Forum,
meetings.
yeah, right, exactly.
Okay, so everybody understand the ask here before we open the floor for nominations?
Yes.
Okay, all right, so the floor is open for nominations for the finance committee first. I need 2 board members to be nominated with, of course, they have to accept. And then once we have 2 that accept nominations, then we'll close that one and open for audit. So floor open for nominations for finance committee.
I think it's pretty obvious.
Okay, so, Cody's not here, so. Yeah.
Since Robbie got appointed secretary, not showing up. Yeah, you have.
Okay, so I'm sorry. So Barbara Soltemeyer and Alina Brandenberger for the finance committee?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, I accept.
I accept.
Okay. Nominations closed. Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Okay. All those opposed?
Okay, hold it.
I'm just kidding.
Did you get the first and the second for the vote? You had the nominations, then you gotta do a nomination to vote the audit committee on to make sure we're in compliance.
Okay, so I need a motion. I need a motion to put those that were nominated on the committee.
So moved.
Second.
second.
Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Okay, there you go. All right. Now the floor is open for the nominations for the audit committee.
I would love to nominate Kyle and Cody.
I second that.
You don't have a grudge or anything, Robbie, do you, from the last time?
But you only have to do it like 3
Oh,
times.
he will tonight. He'll earn his paycheck tonight. Yeah,
Yeah,
This
yeah,
one.
done virtually.
yeah,
And it's only,
Oh,
what, 3
oh,
times?
yeah.
yeah, 3 times.
Intro, the exit, and then the board? Yeah, there's usually Oh, okay. They're quick.
Yeah.
So Cody's not here to accept or reject. So how does that work?
He wasn't here when we.
We voluntold him.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, usually in the past practice, the board president usually is on the audit committee because he has to help with the presentations like that and one other board
Makes
member.
sense.
So
All right.
Robbie can strong arm him since he got him secretary. He's on audit committee now, so I think it's a fair shake.
So I need a motion to approve the, yeah, you can.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he's.
We did it, Robbie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if majority says. Okay,
Barbara said.
So moved. Yeah, I say.
and who seconded?
Barbara.
Oh, okay. All right. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Okay. Thank you all. Is that what you need? All right. Perfect. And you'll let us, y'all make sure and let us know in
Yes.
advance, so.
We can talk about what would be, just have a quick conversation about what makes the most sense in terms of time and when and Zoom in person. whatever you
Perfect.
guys prefer.
Congratulations. All right. Okay, next item is discussion and possible board action on the, oh, we already did that. Yeah, okay. All right, we're now down to discussion items and updates. So teacher housing update.
Okay. First, the Odyssey of the Johnson Modular Home. We have the title official and the plates are in the mail to us because it's a modular home. We had to go through DMV to get a title and everything else, and there were some documents that had to be added additionally. Because of the prior plate number and everything else, all those things are gonna be transferred to us. I started the process as of Monday to make it a permanent residence in Corona with the county. So we had to submit a form to the county for them to say it's no longer gonna be a modular home. It's gonna be pounded permanently on school district property. So it gets the tax waiver that is necessary for us, that it being a motor vehicle. So we'd be exempt from property tax being a school and education. So that'll take roughly 3 to 6 weeks for the county, once I get the official title and take it down to them and show that we have full possession of it with the plate. And that it is going to be mounted up on that lot permanently. So it was a little bit of a chore because we got answers from 3 different DMVs on what the process was to get it approved. So finally, we went to a modular home titler in Santa Fe through our attorneys, and they got the process all the way through. So as of Monday, it was officially ours with all the documentation submitted. Now we just got to get the county paperwork done. On the teacher housing demo project.
Okay, so before you go there.
Yeah.
I guess my question is just to make sure I'm clear. The school owns that home and that property.
Yes,
Okay,
we own a modular home now.
okay. So with that being said, who dictates what happens with that? Is it the school board? Or where does that authority? It's a school board, I think that, because the school owns that property.
According to the county, since it's already been up there and was on it, we were planning on mounting it there. It'd be easiest to do it there. If you move it to another lot, you're gonna have to
title it on that lot or make it a permanent property. That's why I'm working with the county on what the process is of what that home is to stay. So is that the question you're asking, if it's going to stay permanently on that lot or
No, who
the
gets
use
to
of
decide what
Right.
happens to it? Is it the board or is it the superintendent?
what the use of that house?
Yeah,
Underneath policy with housing, it falls underneath the superintendent.
that
Because
was-
it's teacher housing. Is
yes,
that
that was
the
my
question?
question. Yeah, because it's teacher.
Yeah.
I just didn't know. Okay.
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 Okay, go ahead.
Okay. And then on teacher demo, we've gone through our now fourth project manager on Monday, but I got good news today. Is that our demo person has been cleared to come on site to start the prep work for the demo and do that. We are using Maristar out of Albuquerque to come down and do the demo. So the teacher housing project, they're going to start the prep work next week and hopefully have the following week, which would be the 21st, that would be 28th. Hopefully within 3 days after they get the prep work and everything cleared with them, the project will come down. And we are now currently starting the next phase of the teacher housing project to go to get the site prep and the house bids on that. PSFA has given us okay to go through public state contract. So we will use a state approved vendor, and there's only 2 in the state that will be able to bid on it. But they are looking at doing state contract. It's been delayed so long, so we have to go to RFP and have it. So they do have state contracts with 2 vendors, right?
Okay. So as far as all of that goes, the timeline to have those houses up and ready is when?
Hopefully within, it will take them 2 to 4 weeks to site prep and 4 weeks to set. So they're hoping if we can get the demo done by the end of this month, worst case scenario is the end of October.
And how many teachers were needing housing?
We lost 2 because we're going to provide housing because they went to other districts that had them that we did.
We lost 2.
We have 1 right now that's doing it. We lost 2 prospects because we only had 1 house. And that's what happened with that. So
Okay.
they're going to try to fast track this, understanding that and trying to make sure we get the project done because it was supposed to be done by August 1,
Right.
according to PSFA's timeline.
Yeah.
Because we've had 4 different project managers, it keeps getting recycled through. So now we've got the final project manager because Larry, or I've been contact Larry Tolson, the deputy director up there. Here, they're getting this through, and then starting on Monday next week, once PSFA gets to clearance and gives the okay for them to come on site, which is hopefully tomorrow, they can get the contracts or the state contracts for site prep and the houses going simultaneously while they do that.
And you're the project lead on that, right?
Yeah, I'm the contact for PSFA
Okay.
on that right
Okay.
now.
Okay. Could you do us a favor?
Yeah,
Just so we all have it in front of us
Yeah.
and you too, would you send us out, it can be each board meeting, whatever
Yeah.
works best for you.
Yeah.
But if you could get like a project management schedule so that we all have it and we're on the same page.
yeah, that's the next step of what's going to happen with PSFA now. Now that we get the demo going, they'll start the timeline to do
Perfect.
that. But now we got demo going. It should not be. We just had to make sure we got the demo on. So project management chart.
That would be great. And then if we can just keep that updated, because I know we're gonna have a lot of different projects, that will help me.
Yeah.
I don't know about
Yeah.
the rest of you. Are y'all okay with that?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Thank you, Curtis.
Yep.
Any other questions, folks? You're all good?
No.
Okay. All right. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Security.
Security fencing. The third contractor ditched us and never showed up. So we do have 2 bids, one just with a chain link fence and then one with a more higher security fence. But neither one of them have the electronic gates that are put on them for the parking lot. So that is just fencing around the school grounds. So the rough estimate of the chain link fence just to cover around the grounds and like that was roughly about $176,000 to put that in with the egress and the push gates and everything else. For the higher one, the electronic gates with the more secure security fence, keep in mind it doesn't include the exterior electric going to them and the gates. This is just for that fencing and setting them up for use was about $375. And that's the more dense metal that is there. Amanda can talk to you a little bit more about the intertwine of it for the blacking, because we had it blacked out for the entire campus as opposed just to the playground area. But it doesn't include covering parking lots, electronic gates and like that. For the security, if you remember correctly, our law enforcement both said securing the parking lots with electronic gates would be the best option to go. There is a general contractor willing to come down and look at the entire job and look at it from that way. It also does not include any of the exterior cameras focused on the roads that CAMNet will be looking at when they come to do the doors, of where they can put those cameras, if they can use existing cameras for the exterior. And if we need to tie the electric into that gate project, we can have that contractor do it.
Where's he out of?
He's actually, the one that works with CAMNet is actually out of Albuquerque.
And then the other gentleman that's willing.
Both of them, both the contracts we had, one of them was out of Albuquerque, the other one was Bernalillo office, but they have office down south. The one that didn't show up was one from Roswell. So we do have those, and the general contractor that CAMNet works with is actually located in Albuquerque, that they've done a lot of work with. So I can contact Angela tomorrow if we want to make sure we're also including exterior cameras and electric for the parking lot gates. We can have that done as well. But right now, the fence itself with the push gates and everything else is about $374,000, but that doesn't include parking lots and the electronic gates.
So the the higher one, the 375, that's a dense, that's
Yeah.
blackout, like nobody could see. How high is that?
In certain areas, according to the gentleman that I took around campus, in certain areas, it's up to 12.
Okay.
And they would have to set it outside of the retaining walls, which would then encroach on the sidewalk a little bit. That didn't seem to be a concern for them, but the retaining walls pose they're going to jump over the fence. Even on a 12-foot wall, somebody could jump on those walls and jump over the fence. So they proposed to put it outside. That's why it's an entire campus enclosement versus just a playground. There's too many walls. There's too many levels. That was not even
Right.
They looked at it and they were like, that's not even feasible.
Right.
So it would be around the entire campus.
And so that 375 doesn't include parking lots.
No.
But we want to include the parking lots. And so what would that be? Close to 500,000?
Don't know. We have to figure out where to run the electric from, because you have to run the electric to that. If you're going to do it, you might as well run it for the telescoping cameras on the corner to get the sights of the road, because the only camera to get a really clear sight on the road is the one up on the corner of the rock building where to take down a tree. That's where that was done by Verkada to make sure they could view the road up there. But none of the other cameras can get far enough out, or they're coming around the corner before you can see anybody coming. They're suggesting we look at putting on the corner of each of our lots, on each of the four corners, a telescoping camera to look down each of the roads, so you have multiple points of access, you can see it.
So what's the status of the cameras at this point?
The cameras, we're working on that. The entry cards are being done right now by Verkada. Since with the sensors, they did get the sensors to work on the door. The ones, and when we're going to recalibrate them, when we put the 6 new doors in that are
No, but I
coming
mean
in.
the cameras, the extra cameras, so we can see everything,
They're all working now.
even the extra ones.
And as far as I know.
Yeah, they're all operational. The ones that we don't have are the ones that are telescoping to the road to
That's
see
what I'm
access.
talking about.
That's what we have to ask, because they have to get a general contractor out there to run the electric out to those cameras with low voltage.
When we had the conversation and I took them around campus, that really only included 3 electronic
Yeah.
units. That would be the teacher lot and the 2 on the upper lot, the 2 at the back. So the one going into the cafeteria and the one going between the auditorium and the old cafeteria would be manual gates. But then that also included 7 man gates, like you would, each of these sidewalks
Oh, yeah.
would have
Yeah.
a man gate that was blocked so that you couldn't reach in and push the bar and then key card entry, whatever. So
Okay.
each of those gates also requires electricity and things running to each of those gates. But the panel, I mean, the thicker one, just if we're going for a new building, those can be taken down and set aside and set up again later. The chain link, once you stretch it, you can't use it again. So things to keep in mind as you think about.
Okay, so what's the pleasure of the board as far as giving direction to Curtis and Amanda?
I don't think we have a choice. I think for the safety of our kids and our students and parents and staff, we gotta go with the bigger one.
I think it's yeah, and
I think
the
it's a
price
no-brainer.
difference isn't enough to, I mean, you can't put a price tag on safety.
You guys talk to the parents. What do you think what do you think the community or the parents will?
Yeah, what is,
I think they just want a fence. I
They
don't
just
think-
want a fence.
Honestly, I
Yeah.
don't think they care. They just want a fence. They feel like that provides a layer of safety.
The parents that have talked to me, they want a,
they want a robot.
they want a high, can't see through fence. So those were.
That's what
I haven't had any parents come talk about a fence, so I don't know.
I've also had parents concerned. I have had conversations with a couple parents that are concerned about still having access to their kid. The reason they want them here is they can come get their kid anytime they want to. If these are all manual gates because we can't get electronics to them, it's going to take a bit, like for them to call somebody, have them come open a gate, get them into the school.
You'll
get
be
the
able
kid-
to eventually get electronic, won't you?
Well, that's the
I think
hope.
that
But I'm
will
just
be-
saying, I think there's feedback on both sides. I think the majority just want a fence, a high fence that's gonna protect their kids. There are a couple that are concerned about still having.
But you know, at the end of the
access to
day,
their children,
they'll
but I
still
think,
have access to their kid. I mean, now, we're not gonna deny them,
right,
but I think overall, the safety is the first. I mean, I'm like, I hear it. Yeah, I mean, I hear that what they're saying, but at the end of the day,
those are the same parents.
except if they're like,
When we locked the doors.
yeah.
I'm just being honest and trying to give you the whole information.
Although there will be, and I would have been asking for a reward for her, so. You guys paid me to take her back.
No, we're still gonna have to do it because sometimes our kids, well, the doorbells will be working. We can take it down, but sometimes we're not at a computer, so we still want them to call a cell phone. You know, because like if we're out dealing with a situation or whatever, that way they still have another one. Usually Hannah, Brenda, or I are in this building, and Nicole's pretty good up in their building with that. The doorbell rings, but sometimes we do get busy and there's nobody at those desks, so we'll call that number and then we can get somebody there.
We do have 5 administrative iPads coming that will
Yeah.
alleviate some of that also, that we will be more mobile and be able to answer those.
Yeah.
Well, rather apparently stuck outside.
Yeah, me too.
Because we can look at the redesign too.
Well, if we get electronic gates on the full perimeter, do we still have to lock the doors to the buildings, or would the gates be considered?
The gates would be secure enough to do
Sometimes,
it, but
you know, said, well, that's not gonna help. So why don't we just have both?
And lock all the doors?
because Robbie, the other thing we can do is on the design of the fence, which is probably Western. One of the designs was to take it to prevent penetration into the building and put that sturdy fence out by the road. Or we could create the fence and then just put it by the sidewalks and still allow walkways into, like, only directing them to this door from that road.
Oh, yeah.
So that way, but though that's gonna be a change of our thinking for our, because most of our parents are used to coming from up there down. So we have to look at that design, but though that's gonna be part of the things we have to do to educate the parents on what's going on with this. But there was a couple designs of putting one completely across just to keep it a completely enclosed campus perimeter. But if we want to have access to an entry point, as they call them, like Tri-West said, we can set it up where we do a diagonal fence off the gym up because our kids still go out the gym that way. Sometimes, but we're going to have to tell them you got to go out this way and around now. So it'll just make it that way. We can do it either an angular fence or a square fence along that sidewalk coming up. This is just a rough sketch. The final design will be once they get everything ready to go in place and we know where we got to put the electric. This was their best guess right now. If we're going with electric gates and I get all the cabinet tomorrow, have them get their general contractor down here to see what they need to do to run electric to those gates that we will have. To allow them to come in, that will be when the final design phase comes in, but they were comfortable with putting their quote in around $375,000. And it is, like Amanda said, it is removable, we can use it. And if we get the new building, we pass that vote, we go forward, we can take that fence, they can remove it, save it, and we can use it in the next phase of the project as part of our match.
Which we can't do with chain link.
We can't do a chain link.
Stretched out and done.
So it's, what he said is basically a 10-year investment. You'll get a return on your investment if you get a new building immediately. But if you were gonna do it, your return on investment is 10 years as you renovate a building or whatever. So you're looking at this, if you're gonna add that to your project, it lowers your, hopefully lowers your cost on your $50 million project down to 47.
And does it also add us higher on that list of schools that qualify?
I don't want to tell PS of it. I don't know if security fencing is one of those things. It's actually the structure and
I don't think it shouldn't be.
I don't think the fence will. I don't think it'll push, I don't think a security fence will push us to that limit because we put in one around the playground at Hagerman. And we stayed at, well, that was when they had the first 125. We were 113. We stayed at 113 the next year when they did the assessment. So I don't think it's going to add anything to the value. They look more at the systems and the general status of the buildings you're in for that.
So this doesn't include electronic gates, but they can come later once we figure out electricity.
Once we figure out what it is, yeah, we can set it up to do it that way. The manual gates we can put in. And there was also a design that Tri-West said that they could do because Amanda called me that if we have that parking lot open, they put a secondary fence with an electronic gate up along the walkway and go inside our parking lot and go to the walkway towards that. They could do something like that. But if we want to get it set up for electronic gates, we need to get Camnet in here to show us what they need to do for their system. Then we can look at adding those gates later. Because we'll still need them regardless. Two of the sites I've talked about, we're sitting in one right now, but the other one is the old cafeteria down from up there. So that we keep both these buildings operational if we get a building and we still have class while they're doing the construction. Instead of rotating buildings and causing chaos for everybody. That's going to be a decision the board does. We get to the design phase if the levy passes. So we can still keep those electronic gates on that side to secure it. If we build here or here. So there, and those electronic gates are movable too. From what Camnet told us with what their software is and what Tri-West says, we can move those gates as long as nobody runs them over with a truck or whatever. They'll still be usable.
Well, it sounds like the pleasure of the board is to go with the blackout taller fence. And I'm just going to say my recommendation, and I know we can decide this down the road, but even if we go that route, I still think you got to keep the doors locked because you still have things that seep through occasionally.
Yeah.
And you just got to have those checks and balances in place. And because I went through that at the co-op, we had gated parking for the employees. And every now and then, when the gate would open, someone would, not on purpose, they would still get through and they were in the wrong place. They should have been in the member parking, not the employee parking, but they still couldn't get in through our doors. And then that's when we'd find out, hey, you're in the wrong spot. You need to be over on the public access side. So it happened.
Yeah.
And it's just nice to have, and I'm sure you guys would agree working here, it's just nice to have that extra verification in place. That's just my 2 cents.
And Amanda and I went to security training, flight journal law schools. They keep talking about layers of security.
Yeah.
From the curb to the door inside, curb to the fence to the, keep those layers in to make it as difficult for an intruder to get in. And there was even a suggestion on the one chain link fence, if we didn't want to go all the way around, we could put huge pillars in front and just fence off right here. And then they would put in like concrete pillars that are blockades so people can drive up in and those types of things. But that hearing what the board is, I'll get all the Camnet tomorrow, look and see what the electric, and I'll get them to do the quote on those external cameras on the corner too, because it's going to play into this fence project.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
But did I hear we're waiting on 6 new doors? Did I hear that?
No, they're in order. We're waiting for them to be installed next week.
Okay.
Okay.
Assuming it's gonna get done this summer.
Well, here's what happened is because the initial ones that were done, we're just replacing the 6 doors that the fire marshal had said. It's these 2 entry doors, the 2-day elementary, the pre-K, and the pod doors. Those are the ones that we're definitely changing. We had quotes on just changing hardware and hinges. We're replacing all the doors now. So that way they're secure because that was a recommendation made by even the fence company noticed it And when they came in, it says, you just replace the doors, it's gonna be worth it. And those are also doors that we can move and use in other places. If we keep things as they go, they're gonna be reusables too, because that's part of the bill that was done. So that PO was cut. They came in and did final measurements next week and are trying to get on campus the week of the 28th.
Any other questions? Okay. All right, strategic planning.
Okay, CES, we've entered into an agreement with them. They are working with 3 other districts, so we're number 4. So what I would like to do is present to David Chavez, who assigns the facilitators for strategic planning. The first date we'd like to see it. His first opening is the last 2 weeks of September because of the statewide CS meetings in the 3 districts he's already working in. And then a determination of whether you want this to be a 6-week process or a 6-month process. And then we can work on dates around your calendar. So we're looking at the last 2 weeks of September to set up the first public meeting on this. And we will have to announce it as a quote unquote working session of the board, because he would like to have all 5 board members there if possible at that meeting.
And what's the difference between 6-week versus 6-month?
Depends on how quick you want to get it done. So if you wanted, because there's 6 landmark dates that he wants to have. There is a district that's doing 1 a week for a month and a half. He would not recommend that if you're doing it for the first time. This district's done a strategic plan before. He's recommending that 3 to 6 months span to look at, so we can do the community assessment, gather then do a work session with the board, bring in the focus groups that he's going to want to have another work session with the board, finalize the plan and proposal at a community meeting, and then have a board action at the last meeting and a work session and a board. So if you want to look at, if you want to get the first date, I can work with David on the additional landmarks. If you give me a time frame of 3 to 6 months, David can look at what that would look like and see what dates are available to come down with the facilitator they're looking at. So we can get the first date locked in tonight of what the board would look at. We could go forward and then we can work from there on the next 5 dates.
Okay. So what's yours and staff's recommendation?
Good question, because we gotta look at the volleyball schedule.
Okay.
Wednesdays seem to be pretty good because we don't have a volleyball day usually on there, because we've usually done Tuesdays, Thursdays, and then Friday, Saturdays for those events. So either a Monday night or a Wednesday night in the last 2 weeks of September should be open.
And you're wanting, I guess my question is, okay, what is y'all's recommendation in doing the 6-week versus the 6-month?
I think it's better to gather more information than do it quickly, and we can be able to disseminate and talk about it more. So if you want to look at a 3 to 6 month range, we can set the first date and I can get with David.
Gotcha.
And then he can tell us here's what a 3-month timeline would look like, a 6-month timeline would look like.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay.
So that way we're not rushing it. Since this is the first time we significantly done a strategic plan. He recommends slow. He's saying he doesn't want to recommend it because he doesn't want to influence board, but the more thorough and strategic we are in the process, the better. So he says the longer the better. So that way we can make sure we touch all the bases of the expectation of the board and the community and the administration and teachers.
Okay.
So if we can set a date, I can give the Monday and Wednesdays of the last 2 weeks of September and see if they're available. And then we can go that way, and then we can look at what those next, with a 3-month and a 6-month.
Sounds good. Yeah.
Everybody comfortable with that?
Yeah, I don't have any comments.
Okay.
No, it's okay.
Yours on your.
Yeah, it's on server.
Okay, please, if you would.
Okay, perfect. I get a Monday, Wednesday, and last 2 weeks of September. And then a 3 and 6 month timeline. Okay. That'll be done.
Thanks. Well, in doing 6 months, that's what I was looking at. Because normally when I've been involved in strat planning, it's you get through that, gives you and your staff time, your board. You decide how you're going to proceed, and then it gives whoever's putting the budget together time to have all those items, and because that's usually things are tied to monetary So if we do the 6-month deal, we start in September, October, November, December. So that would be done by the end of February. I'm not sure what else hangs out there. What does that do to you?
No, that's plenty of.
That's fine.
Okay,
The spring budget will be in April this year.
okay, so we're good.
Last week of March, early April. is
It'll
what
be
they-
March, because it's only a 30-day session.
What was told by the MASBO is they were looking at delaying it to make sure everything, so instead of rushing it, they wanted to do it the last week, but that means that's what they're talking about now. You know how it works, yeah, we should be good either way if we get it done by the end of February, or early March.
Okay,
Okay.
all right. Okay, sounds good. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Okay, so next.
You guys have any, Amanda, Randa, y'all, any of y'all have input? Hannah?
I've never been through the process, so.
Okay.
After talking to the guy, it seems like it's gonna be extensive.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think the 6-month would
Be better.
Mhm.
Okay.
Cause there's a lot, I mean, just listening to that guy, I was like.
Well, I think Jeff was his heard. I mean, that's-
Yeah, that's what they try to do.
I love strategic planning. Okay, all right, thank you, Curtis and folks. All right, next item. Oh, this one's mine. All right, so I've actually kind of had this in the back of my mind for a few years. Especially I think now it's super important. A lot of the parents and the public had approached us back in April that they wanted more communication, information. We're making some great changes. And so I think that, and this is a conversation, and I know Cody's not here to yay or nay this, but I think that the culture has to start at the top, meeting with the board and then radiate down accordingly. And what I heard, this was voiced at our last board meeting, is more participation and buy-in from the board. So I thought about this even more because I've been toying with it for the last few years. I think that it would send a strong message to the administration and the teachers and the parents if the board would be willing to, as long as the school had no problem supplying hot dogs. 99 Cattle could do the hamburger. But if the school could do the hot dogs or what have you, and maybe the buns and such, if the board would be willing to serve our administration, teachers, parents, students at the end of and I don't know.
It's the end of 9 weeks.
It would be second Thursday, so what is it? Yeah, it's the second Thursday of October.
And I don't know if it would be better to do it during the parent teacher conferences that evening, or if you all tell us if the board is in favor. This is just my idea. I wanted to get the full board, what your thoughts would be, and then take it from there.
That's a great idea.
Just my thoughts on the parent teacher conference. They filter in so slowly throughout the day that probably would not be the best day. Just
Okay.
gonna throw that out there.
Okay. No, that's why I wanted to know.
And we might get parents here that don't really ever come and really need to come
Because there's a free meal.
because of the free meal.
It is amazing with food.
It's amazing what we
Yeah.
Early.
Yeah, so I would say just, yeah. I mean, I don't know, because I
Well,
know.
we could even I don't think it's off the table that we can stagger parent teacher conferences. If those our parents are here and they don't want to come back the next because they live so far out or whatever. I'm
Right.
sure the teachers would be happy to.
The other,
Yeah, you guys figured that part out.
the other option we could
People
do,
might show up that never show up if we speak.
Right, that's true.
And usually those are the parents that really need to be here. The ones that come don't really need to be here. That's been our experience, so
we could tie it in with the
just saying.
avid CEN dual enrollment. Have that night and tie it with literacy night like we do. That could be a great way to get all the high school and elementary parents here. And then we could set it up Hopefully it's not raining in late September, early October, we do this. We could set it up outside between both buildings and make that like a little courtyard and do those things, but we could tie it into something like that. Because parent teacher conference is chaotic enough for the
Yeah,
teachers on that end to
exactly,
get them away. Where it's a little bit more loose structured, where you can work with parents and do that and be out there with that and have some activities associated with it. We could look at our literacy night or math nights that we do with REC nine.
And when is that?
We haven't said it yet because
Oh, okay.
Deborah's not been here yet, so
Okay.
she'll be here tomorrow or next Thursday.
And if y'all can set them like away from like all the fairs, I don't know when you're thinking that, if it's further out. or-
If it's in October, it needs to be like, there's a small time, right?
Yeah.
Right, yeah, we're ready to go to national.
Right, yes.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, how do you board members?
That's like- that's a great idea.
Okay. Okay. So we wanna do it.
Cody will just
Okay.
get voluntold.
Okay, all right.
Thank you, Mayor.
Yeah. Thank you guys. I think it's a good message to send. Okay. So we'll plan to do that. Let us know what some
Work on-
dates and we'll go from there.
We can.
Okay.
Work out.
Okay. Next one. Next one is the policy review. Committee versus board of the whole.
Okay, I was asked by Joe Ian. Okay, we're gonna start getting, now we're a member of NSBA, we're gonna get the monthly policy review. He tries to get a gauge of what districts want. Is the board gonna do that at monthly meetings with all the policy revisions that come down because of the process we have to follow? Or do you want to have a committee do that? I told him we've done it always by committee of the whole when policy's been brought up. I've got no problem doing that, but Joe wants to know because he's looking to do some different things with policy revisions and working if you have a committee versus two-person or versus the board. That way he can look at some training like that for staff that could be done. If you want to still do committees of the whole, I'll still get the information on the trainings for that. So I just wanted to get a sense of whether we would do policy review, kind of like we do audit and finance committee with having two board members reviewing it and bring it forward with recommendation, or do it completely as a board.
I think put this on out. I don't even know.
Better that way.
Yes.
So to make sure I understand, so it would be broken out where if we had a committee, you could do this in more incremental
Yes.
and get more involved in the weeds versus what we've been doing
Yeah.
and drinking out of a fire hydrant.
Yes,
I like the idea of knowing more what's in those policies. That's just me. So that's just my opinion.
Committee versus board.
Instead of us all having to go through it every night. Committee.
And the whole board would still have to review
Still have to
policies
review it.
and approve policies.
but you would have new board members be able to know what was in that policy, the discussions that were had by it. They can be done virtually. And there could be additional trainings through MSBA they can do virtually. Sometimes they do specific webinars on changes in policies that you could have the committee attend as opposed to having the whole board, which would be a meeting. So there's pros and cons to both ways. It's just the preference of the board of whether they want to have two people become the policy to relay it out and then have the discussion, or if you want the whole board to review it as it goes on.
So this is a committee to go to a webinar or whatever and listen.
Or internally, as we get those policy updates, they come to us. You're gonna start getting packets now. Emailed you as a board member of the policy recommendation changes NMSBA is making.
Okay.
So then we decide as a board whether we're gonna implement those changes or not implement those changes, or we take those changes and we put our own language into those policies to do it. So you want the entire board to be doing that, or you want two board members to bring that forward to talk to the board about what the recommendations are?
But
So those two would need to know what the policy was
Yeah,
and what the
What the change,
recommendation is. And how often do they do this?
but they usually send them out monthly, but there's sometimes where you go 3 months of that, but I can tell you, as big as I can say, usually after legislative session, the busiest months are March, April, May, and June, when the MSBA is doing all that. And then the ones that go into effect the following school year are usually in July.
And this is a requirement, or this is because Joe Guillen just asked?
No, it's the MSBA policy review. The board has to review and decide whether, because they're usually the legal changes that are made during the legislative session. So we make sure our policy is up to date and concurrent with law.
I have a question while you're pondering. Does it have to be, can it be a board member and a staff member?
No, has to be 2 board members,
Two board members.
because this is a committee of the board. It's not a committee of the district.
The board.
It's the board
Yeah.
of policy.
The school or just.
Yeah.
Fewer.
I mean, if we're all gonna get them anyway, they're gonna email it to you either
Yeah.
way.
That's true. We're gonna get them no matter what.
Okay, what's pleasure? Just do it as a whole board night when they come out.
Yeah, I'm fine with that too.
So longer board meetings, basically.
Just read your email so you know what's coming.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Usually what they're sent out within the first 7 days of the month.
So the reason for our review, though, we have no say in their change. There's just.
Yeah, you do. You
Whether
can,
adopt it or not.
whether you adopt it or not. So that's your say.
Why don't you?
Or you change and amend it.
Yeah. Modify.
So even if they make the change, we don't necessarily have to adopt it.
Exactly.
So the ones that we've been doing the readings on, the various readings, and there's some that we're done with and some that are still in progress. There was gonna be a review, because there were a few things and a few of them, and I don't remember what the numbers were that I know I brought up. I had some questions and issues on. Has anyone internally been reviewing those policies to make sure the cookie cutter policies that are brought to us by the state, that there's not anything in there that we want to tweak before we do the final reading and we put them in place?
We already did the final reading.
Final reading, yeah.
So they're all,
Now, what it is we go through the revision process, and Dan Castile is working with us to go through
okay,
with
so,
this. So, yeah.
okay, so my question, so has anyone internally, there were some that we had issues with. And there was gonna be that day of reckoning where we're gonna be able to handle those. Is there anybody that has a list of those? Or that has been going through to get those particular items so that we can modify and tweak according to this board?
Dan Castile, who is our policy advisor, has that list. He has not reached back out to me yet because he's still working on those revisions.
Okay,
So yes, there is a review. So when we went and did the policies, he was giving those ideas. He's gonna do his recommendations on what the change would be, and then ultimately you're gonna have to act on it, but it's going to be a. Again, this is one of those things where if the board wants to have all that, I've got to get with Dan to outline what those changes were and go back through those notes with him. So he has that list, but he's the one person for all 89 districts. So I'll see when he can be available to talk about it.
okay.
Yep.
So the things that we brought up or that we asked as far as our culture here, there is a list of those things in those policies that this school and this school board, we need to consider modifying on our policies.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. All right. And when will that occur?
I don't know. I gotta get hold of Dan. He hasn't responded back. So I will have to get hold. He, like I said, he's one guy for 89 districts. So I'll try to get a hold of him to see what he can do.
Okay, okay, all right, very good. Y'all have any more questions on that? Are y'all good? Okay, all right. Okay, last item we have here before executive session, is there anything else that anybody wants to bring up?
I do. Have we done anything about the bus route for Melvin Johnson and the grandkids? Yeah. So they're being picked up and taken or whatever it is.
They're gonna, I finally got, written consent, this afternoon, so in the morning.
Cause he's been called.
Well, yeah, we just had, and I've been trying to reach out to, the parent.
Right.
And hadn't been successful with that, and then.
Okay.
She finally started contacting us and we were
Okay.
able to get that going.
All right. That was good. Thanks.
Anybody else?
When,
Does anyone else have anything else they want to bring up? You want to discuss? Okay. Anybody online?
We only have Casey.
Okay, all right. Okay, next item is, we're going into executive session.